ASEAN Convention Against Trafficking in Persons, especially Women and Children, Law Enforcement and Prosecution. Chapter 5, Law Enforcement. Article 16, Law Enforcement and Prosecution. 1. Each party shall adopt such measures as may be necessary to ensure that competent authorities dealing with trafficking in persons cases are equipped with appropriate skills or knowledge in the fight against trafficking in persons and the protection of victims of trafficking in persons. And where appropriate, designate specialized units or authorities for this purpose. 2. Each party shall take effective and active steps to detect, deter, and punish corruption, money laundering, participation in an organized criminal group and obstruction of justice that contributes to trafficking in persons. 3. Each party shall ensure that its legal system is efficient to deal with trafficking in persons cases. 4. Each party shall adopt such measures as may be necessary to ensure coordination of the policies and actions of its government's departments and other public agencies against trafficking in persons, and where appropriate, set up coordinating bodies to combat organized crimes such as trafficking in persons, corruption, money laundering, and obstruction of justice. 5. Each party shall, consistent with the domestic laws of the sending and the receiving parties, through informal cooperation or mutual legal assistance where appropriate, encourage the victims of trafficking in persons to voluntarily enter and stay temporarily in the territory of the receiving party for purposes of testifying or otherwise cooperating in the prosecution of their traffickers, with due regard for the safety of the victims of trafficking in persons. 6. Each party shall provide or strengthen training programs for relevant officials in the prevention of and fight against trafficking in persons, with focus on methods used in preventing trafficking, investigating and prosecuting the traffickers, and protecting the rights of the victims, including protecting the victims and their families from the traffickers, and the privacy of the victims. 7. Each party shall take all necessary steps to preserve the integrity of the criminal justice process, including through protecting victims and witnesses from intimidation and harassment, where necessary, and punishing perpetrators of such acts, in appropriate cases. 8. Each party shall, where appropriate, establish under its domestic laws a long statute of limitations period in which to commence proceedings for any offense covered by this convention and a longer period where the alleged offender has evaded the administration of justice. 9. Nothing contained in this convention shall affect the principle that the description of the offenses established in accordance with this convention and of the applicable legal defenses or other legal principles controlling the lawfulness of conduct is reserved to the domestic laws of a party, and that such offenses shall be prosecuted and punished in accordance with that law. Article 17, Confiscation and Seizure. 1. Each party shall adopt, to the greatest extent possible within its domestic legal system, such measures as may be necessary to enable confiscation of a. Proceeds of crime derived from offenses covered by this convention or property the value of which corresponds to that of such proceeds. b. Property, equipment or other instrumentalities used in or destined for use in offenses covered by this convention. 2. Each party shall adopt such measures as may be necessary to enable the identification, tracing, freezing or seizure of any item referred to in paragraph 1 of this article for the purpose of eventual confiscation. 3. If proceeds of crime have been transformed or converted, in part or in full, into other property, such property shall be liable to the measures referred to in this article instead of the proceeds. 4. If proceeds of crime have been intermingled with property acquired from legitimate sources, such property shall, without prejudice to any powers relating to freezing or seizure, be liable to confiscation up to the assessed value of the intermingled proceeds. 5. Income or other benefits derived from proceeds of crime, from property into which proceeds of crime have been transformed or converted or from property with which proceeds of crime have been intermingled shall also be liable to the measures referred to in this article. In the same manner and to the same extent as proceeds of crime. 6. For the purposes of this article and Article 21 of this Convention, each party shall empower its courts or other competent authorities to order that bank, financial or commercial records be made available or be seized. Each party shall not decline to act under the provisions of this paragraph on the ground of bank secrecy. 7. Each party may consider the possibility of requiring that an offender demonstrate the lawful origin of alleged proceeds of crime or other property liable to confiscation. To the extent that such a requirement is consistent with the principles of its domestic laws, and with the nature of the judicial and other proceedings. 8. The provisions of this article shall not be construed to prejudice the rights of bona fide third parties. 9. Nothing contained in this article shall affect the principle that the measures to which it refers shall be defined and implemented in accordance with and subject to the provisions of the domestic laws of a party.